MK18 SBR is one of the most iconic AR-15s, and mine is finally finished. It's amazing that the part that takes the longest to build is just permission to put the stock on, but at least it's finally a real SBR. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. The MK18 here has become pretty much my go-to rifle. Now, I love all my rifles. They're like your kids. So it's hard to say that there's a favorite one, and my 14.5 inch is definitely my nicest rifle. But this MK18, God, it's just so easy to take with me and use. 10.3 inch barrel doesn't make it feel super long with a suppressor on it. And that's what I like the most about it, I think. The 14.5 inch, I love it, but you add a suppressor and it kind of starts to feel like a pretty long rifle, which is what it is, which is just fine. But the MK18, man, I have got some love for this thing. We did a whole build series on this, and it is far from clone correct. I took plenty of liberties. I built out a MK18 the way I wanted a MK18 to be. But part of that is a real stock. B5 systems, rather than the pistol brace that was on it for 4 months while I was waiting for the Form 1 to get approved. So technically, this is the last episode of the MK18 build series. I really love the way that the suppressed MK18 shoots, but it really does make a big difference to run a stock. It feels a lot better than the SBA3 brace that I had on here before. I've been using the MK18 a lot since I put it together. Like I said, it's kind of become my go-to rifle. It's a great rifle for going and shooting under nods. And I don't have a LAM yet, a laser aiming module, IR illuminator, IR laser. I don't have that, so I've been passively aiming with the EOTech. And on this Unity riser, that is very easy to do under night vision. It's also a great rifle to travel with. Now, it is a 2-stamp NFA gun at this point. You know, it's got a suppressor, although that does come off if I needed it to. And now it is an SBR, meaning that it's a 2-stamp gun. So traveling out of state, if I were to do that legally, I would have to ask the ATF for permission. But honestly, I don't travel out of state that much. A lot of my family just lives 7 hours north of here. And so that's where me and my daughter travel to a lot. And this is an easy gun to travel with because it's really still pretty compact. Again, even with the suppressor. And so it's just one of those, I can see why, you know, high speed, low drag guys loved the MK18. It really is just very easy to deal with. It's a really nice size. Plus, god damn, it just looks good. And so it's a fun gun to show people when, you know, when you do go travel and see family and stuff. So it is an SBR now, and that took 4 months. And I know those of you that really follow the channel probably already know this because I did do, you know, a short about it a little while back once it got actually approved. But this is the full real video about the MK18 SBR. Now, why SBR it? I did have this SBA3 pistol brace on it while I was waiting for that Form 1 to get approved. I used to use a lot of these pistol braces. In fact, at one point, all of my shorter barreled ARs had SB Tactical pistol braces on them. And to me, I always felt like that was a cool workaround, that I could use a pistol brace instead of having to go through the NFA process. But that was also before I even got my first suppressor. And the NFA process seemed like this daunting thing that I just did not want to deal with, as well as, you know, an added $200 cost to an already expensive gun. Funny thing was, back then my guns were not nearly as expensive as they are now. It is ironic how your tastes change over time. But as those tastes change, I've just realized I really like a stock and an SBR better than a pistol brace. I'm going to tell you all the reasons why after a quick word from our channel partner. I'd like to thank Aura to continue sponsoring Sawtooth Tactical. They've been with me for the better part of a year now, and I've been using their service that entire time. And the best way to support Sawtooth Tactical is to sign up for Aura using my link down below. You get 2 weeks free if you use my link. It's only $12 a month after that, and they offer you a lot of stuff. I've talked many times in the past about data broker removal. Well, you've probably noticed that there are data leaks that happen. I get, notifications sometimes, oh, your password was involved in a data leak. Well, when that happens, then all of a sudden, all of your information is available to bad actors. And what they do is they find the data brokers that want to sell your information and they opt you out from those lists. But they do a heck of a lot more than just that. So spam and junk mail removal. That was one of the biggest ones to me. I don't get spam anymore. I really appreciate that. They have an antivirus. It's all of your online security all in one place. A VPN with safe browsing. So you can be on the internet and you don't have to worry. That's really nice. They have 3 bureau credit monitoring. Again, it's good to know what your credit is doing, especially if something happens to it that wasn't your fault. It's nice to know that right away and be able to take care of it, which these guys will do for you. Scam call protection. I haven't gotten scam calls in the last 9 months, and I used to get them fairly often. And some of them sound pretty legit when they're not. I mean, obviously they're not. But I don't get those anymore ever since I've been using Aura. Password manager. I hate trying to remember 1,000 passwords, which you have to do these days if you are online at all. With Aura, you don't have to worry about that. Home title monitoring. If you own your own home, bad people can actually get your home title out from underneath you if they know what they're doing, and Aura protects you from that as well. You get all this stuff for $12 a month, but again, 2 weeks free if you use my link down below, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. As I said in the intro, I did take liberties with this Mark 18. It is not clone correct, but part of the reason that I wanted a stock on here was to look the part. The Mark 18 is supposed to be an SBR. Well, technically, within the military, is just another rifle. They don't have an SBR designation necessarily because they don't have to follow the same rules that us civilians do as far as the NFA goes. You've never seen anybody, active military roles at least, running pistol braces. It just doesn't make sense because they can put stocks on their stuff and stocks are better. So that's the thing. So I ran this with a pistol brace for a while. It was the first time that I had used a pistol brace since I started SBRing all of my other short-barreled stuff. AR-9. 8.3 inch barrel, it is an SBR. A 300 Blackout 8.2 inch barrel, it is also an SBR. And even my Palmetto State Armory 11.5 inch, what was an AR pistol, is now an SBR. And because of that, I can run vertical foregrips on all of them, and I can put stocks on all of them. Now you might think, man, that's a lot of extra money just to be able to put a different piece of plastic on the back end of your gun. And you're right, it is. 4 tax stamps just to be able to put stocks on these. But I also have 4 tax stamps for suppressors. So that's 8 in total. That is a lot of tax stamps. I mean, and not a lot compared to some of you, I am sure. But to me, it is worth it. When I think about the money that I've spent on some of the other things on these guns, on a mod light, in fact. A mod light, the whole setup, when you think of the light, the tail cap, the switch, the mount, the body, the head, the whole deal, you're looking at, an over $500 light. Well, I've got multiple mod lights. Now, I could just run streamlights on everything and save a lot of money, and streamlights are great lights. But I spent the extra money for mod lights because I think that they are a very good, very high quality product. And I love them. And part of what I love about them, whether you like it or not, is that they look goddamn good. And aesthetics do matter. And a Mark 18 doesn't look right with a pistol brace. It looks right with a stock. But besides that, it feels right with a stock. Like I said, I hadn't ran a pistol brace since I SBR'd all my other guns until I finished this Mark 18. And then, because I was waiting for the Form 1 to be approved, and of course I wanted to shoot my new Mark 18 pistol, I used this pistol brace for 4 months while I was waiting for the approval. You know what I realized? Pistol braces really are not as good as stocks. I love the idea of pistol braces, but the Mark 18 just doesn't look right without a stock. Now this should be a given because a pistol brace isn't really meant to be a stock. It's got this Velcro on it, and it is meant to put your arm through, wrap the Velcro around, and be able to fire a short-barreled AR with one hand. It's made for people that, might not be able to use both of their arms. And for that, it's still not great. I have tried that, and it's not awesome. But let's be honest with ourselves, the reason that most people that are totally healthy and have all of their limbs functioning, the reason most of them have pistol braces is just to be able to have short-barreled guns without going through the NFA process. And they are better than not having pistol braces, that is for damn sure. I've got a friend who, very stereotypically, he's got a short AR with just a pistol buffer tube on it with a foam, roll that, you can put on your cheek or whatever. A pistol brace is a hell of a lot better than that is. That is for sure. But is it as good as a stock? No. And the funny thing is, these things cost more than stocks do. I sold all of my pistol braces except for this one. Sold them all to a guy that, like me earlier, would rather run pistol braces than go through the NFA process. But he's also a guy that built a 16-inch 300 blackout without a suppressor, and he thinks it's awesome. 300 blackout is meant to be short-barreled, suppressed, in my opinion. So, I was happy to sell these to him, but I did keep one just for doing future short-barreled builds while I'd be waiting for tax stamp approvals. And so it was still really nice to have this, and in fact, I kept the one that, that I changed the strap on, and that did match the color theme of the Mark 18 well. So as far as pistol braces go, wasn't so bad, but it really is better with the stock. So what I noticed when running one of these again, after getting used to running stocks on everything, is that it's just kind of janky. It's loose and it rattles around on there. And I never really noticed before how much I did notice this on my shoulder. And yes, you are allowed to shoulder a pistol brace. It is totally legal. I know it's not what its intended purpose is, but you can do it. People do it all the time. But it's not as good as a stock. I mean, just look at the butt pad on this thing. This is meant to be shouldered. This is not. And it really does feel a lot better. It feels a lot more solid when I bring this thing up into my shoulder than it did when I would bring this up into my shoulder. And it was something that I noticed while I was still using the pistol brace. The funny thing is, when it comes to price, now an SBA3, these are like, I don't know, I think $75 or something still. They were like $100. $100 for a pistol brace. These B5 stocks are like $50. So right there, if you're, paying for a tax stamp, you're already, $150 rather than $200 as far as your increased cost. But some pistol braces, some of the fancy, extendo ones with the, I can't think of which ones, like the HB PDW and stuff like that. Those are like $200 pistol braces. At that point, why wouldn't you just pay the $200 for a tax stamp and use a real stock? Now, to each their own, and if you would rather use a pistol brace, go for it. I would rather use a stock. And that's kind of the whole point here. So, I spend extra money on a suppressor, spend extra money on a real EOTech, a real Unity mount. on a Daniel Defense upper receiver with a Riz 2 quad rail rather than some janky cheap quad rail on a, ambi lower here. To me, it is worth spending the extra money to have my rifle set up exactly the way that I want it, and that includes being able to put a stock on it. Now, does that mean that I agree with the NFA and the fact that we have to get a tax stamp to put a stock on a gun? No, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you have to pay the government $200 to go from this piece of plastic to this piece of plastic. It's retarded. But it is what it is, and to me it's worth $200 to be able to put a real stock on it. To be able to have my short-barreled rifle look like a rifle and not some janky cobbled together thing with a pistol brace to get around an unconstitutional rule, which I get getting around the unconstitutional rule, but if you're going to be using suppressors and things anyway, I mean, you're going to be dealing with tax stamps unless you're, making them at night at home. Generally, the only real way to buy a suppressor is to do a Form 4 and get a tax stamp. And suppressors are awesome. I don't shoot any of my ARs unsuppressed anymore. That's how much I love suppressors. Short-barreled rifles are awesome. Of my 6 ARs, 4 of them are SBRs. SBRs, suppressed, in my opinion, are the most fun guns to use. They're nice and short and maneuverable, and they're suppressed. They're just awesome. 2-stamp guns. It just sucks that the best guns are ones that you have to pay the government a bunch of money just to be able to set them up the way that you want. So let's do a quick recap of the Mark 18 build, since this is technically the last episode of the build series, even if it's 4 months later compared to the last episode of the build series. So we started with a Daniel Defense stripped Mark 18 upper. You can get these stripped uppers from Brownells. It includes the cold hammer forged chrome lined barrel from Daniel Defense, an upper receiver with no bolt carrier group or charging handle, and the Riz 2 quad rail handguard. After that, I did add a ASR 3-prong flash hider so that I could mount my suppressor on it. I run the Otter Creek Labs Polonium K on all of my 5.56 rifles. This suppressor just moves around between them. They all have ASR mounts. Mod light. This is the OKW head with the 18650 body, Surefire tail cap, mod button. I've got Daniel Defense fixed iron sights on here in their Mil-Spec Plus brown that matches the quad rail. The only set of them I've ever seen anywhere. Found them at my local gun store, which is pretty cool. EOTech EXPS 2-0 on a Unity riser. Now, at this point, now that I've got nods, I didn't have night vision when I built this rifle. I do wish I'd gotten an EOTech EXPS 3 instead of a 2, but at least I got a tan one, matches the rifle. There's a lot of, tan, coyote brown, flat dark earth on this thing, kind of 50 shades, and I like it. Emissary handbrake, I've got Magpul rail ladders on here, and lights on an Arasaka mount. I use the Griffin Armament Mark II ambi lower receiver, so it's got an ambi bolt catch and release, and an ambi mag release there. Geisley SDE trigger, that's the super dynamic enhanced, and it is a damn good 2-stage trigger. Radian safety, Radian Raptor charging handle. It's got a Microbest chrome bolt carrier group that obviously it needs to be cleaned there. Forward controls design EPC or ejection port cover. Geisley buffer tube with the Geisley Super 42H3 buffer in here. And now B5 Systems stock. It's the Bravo stock. B5 Systems Type 23 grip. I've got a Blue Force Gear Vickers sling on here. there anything else I'm missing? Probably, but that's pretty much the build, and the stock does complete the build. It completes the look, it completes the feel, and now I feel like it is a real Mark 18 SBR. Not clone correct, but I'd say clone close. I think it definitely looks the part. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.